Hello to everyone and the internet. Welcome to Wednesday, maggots. February 6th. Don't let those politicians step on you. I am Nathan of Washington. You are watching Culture Shock. The only show on the internet knows how to separate an issue of culture from an issue of politics. And this is the news in 2019. Alright, everybody, so let's talk about the Muslim Community Patrol. This is in New York, and they basically have cars that look like NYPD cars. And they're supposed to just help the NYPD as an extra set of eyes and ears deal with issues that inordinately affect Muslims. However, the NYPD has historically been one of the most violent and incompetent police departments countrywide. I'll link you to some videos of recent evidence that at least some of their officers are really on the fringe. I'm not some leftist saying, get rid of the police, but I am saying that they should be held to a higher standard than common citizens. You don't just enforce the law, you obey it too. And to get better training so that they don't end up, turning into cowards who shoot dogs for no reason. Which is also an issue. Oh, that's more a Michigan thing. Nonetheless, some Muslims don't want this to be a thing. Like, even they don't want it. Some people are afraid it's going to turn into like the Sharia police. They're going to enforce Sharia everywhere. And while there's no real evidence of that yet, everything they've been doing has been in cooperation with United States law so far. But, I don't even know if I'm saying this right. Ma'in? M-A-E-E-N? Ma'in Ali is among the first 30 members of the all-volunteer Muslim Community Patrolling Services. That is preparing to operate in neighborhoods in Brooklyn, with the goal of growing its fleet of 2 cars to 5 by the end of the month, and eventually expanding citywide. The group recently held a training led by off-duty officers from the police department's 72nd precinct. So in short, this is like a neighborhood watch with delusions of grandeur. Like, it's turning into like a straight-up Muslim-only police department. Now, they've been in cooperation with the United States law so far. But can we really count on them to continue to be in cooperation? Eventually, they may want Sharia. And even if they don't, they might end up establishing like full-on vigilante status. Justice for Muslims, etc., etc. Which that can't be allowed either. The law is the law, and if you are not a designated enforcer of that law, then fuck you. Moving on. Gavin McGinnis is suing the SPLC into oblivion, as he put it. And while it seems a little ridiculous to say that, let's hear him out and admit the fact that the Proud Boys have been wrongly labeled as a hate group, when really it was just meant to be a rally, a political rally of sorts against far extreme leftism, far left, and a counter to the alt-left. In essence, a political self-defense, which is perfectly okay. But no, the SPLC is constantly linking him to a hate group, and this has basically made him unemployable in the work world. Like, he hasn't been able to find any work or employment at all. He's completely untouchable, like the Untouchables in Japan. They've completely fucked up his life with this crap. And quite frankly, he has the legal right to sue for defamation of character, which is a civil felony, not unlike assault and/or battery, and therefore can be sued or countersued or even possibly overturned. This is more than just a misdemeanor. Someone could end up doing some time. Bottom line is the SPLC is like an anti-defamation league. Like, seriously. There's the Anti-Defamation League, which is like an anti-racist group. Well, this is like racism in the name of anti-racism. This is anti-defamation. Bottom line is the SPLC is a pro-left, far-left group. And this is not me, by the way. This is not me falling back into my former alt-right rabbit hole. I'm not going back to the alt-right. They can go lick a chode. But at the same time, I'm not going to pretend that this is not a problem. Quite frankly, Gavin McInnes has every right to sue these people. Every right. Good luck, Gavin. I hope you get what you need. The U.S. Army conducts realistic training simulation in Los Angeles. It did so recently. Warning, residents may hear sounds associated with the training, including aircraft and weapon simulations. The LAPD said in a news release, each location selected enables special operations teams and flight crews to maintain maximum readiness and proficiency. Validate equipment, exercise standard safety procedures. The training is essential to ensure service members are fully trained and prepared to defend our nation overseas. The Army also noted that the local training facilities in Los Angeles provide the Army with unique locations and simulations, urban environments the service members may encounter when deployed overseas. There is no replacement for realistic training. As MC Viewpoint noted, not the first urban training article of late. The war machine can never remember to tell anyone ahead of time, because you don't want to take a chance at advertising the real thing, martial law, when it happens. So in short, what this guy's saying is at MC Viewpoint, he's saying that this is just practice for when martial law is put in place. And admittedly, there is a list that it does exist in the federal government's computers, listing off people who are basically seen as targets and rebel rousers in the event of martial law, and these individuals will be arrested should martial law ever be declared, which is a violation of their rights. And it's usually gathered through data mining, such as Facebook and shit like that. So, while it's entirely possible, the Army's, what the Army's saying here is reasonable enough that I feel as though MC Viewpoint may have definitely jumped the gun here. And as he said himself, not the first urban training article of late. Urban training is a very normal thing, because sometimes the Army fights in an urban setting, surprise, surprise. So don't you think they should have, I don't know, training for that? Mind you, I am not a warmonger. I am against warmongering and interventionism. But, you know, if we ever do get legitimately attacked, I think we should be ready for just about anything. But still, you know, at least try and be a little suspicious. There's always usually something hidden somewhere, if you know where to look. But don't go full on MC Viewpoint and jump the gun either. Accept their explanation, but remain suspicious. Trust is never ever a given. No pictures from Ginsburg public appearance. People claiming that they get happy birthday wishes, hugged, or seen Ruth Bader Ginsburg, even though she's currently in a medical coma. Now, I have an explanation for this. This is obvious leftist propaganda. Obvious Democrat propaganda, pardon. It's Democrats. To keep people thinking Ginsburg is she's fine. She's not dying. So that it'd take that much longer for Trump to have to get his SCOTUS pick. Because he wants to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and they don't want him to do that because he'll replace her with another conservative, and that's the last thing they want. So they're just delaying and shit. They probably hired like a double, put her in Ruth Bader Ginsburg's clothes, gave her some sunglasses, did the whole 9 yards, and people believed it. Because about half the population is naive. guaranteed by the public education system. Bottom line is, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was not there. She's currently in her medical coma. The person they saw was most likely a double. And some of the people saying, "Oh, I saw her," were plants. Someone paid to say that shit. Because money loosens lips. And what comes out will usually be something someone else put there. Anyway, moving on. A video by Nick Sandman, the MAGA kid, tells the whole truth. I will put the link in the description so you can see it. But I will also play some of that for you. I'll let you see that, or hear that rather. Where is it? There we go. The truth in 15 minutes.
On January 18, 2019, in Washington, D.C., the very first Indigenous Peoples March was scheduled at the same time as the 47th Annual March for Life. Students from Kentucky's all-boy Covington Catholic High School were instructed to meet on the stairs of the Lincoln Memorial to await their bus home. Many of the boys were wearing Make America Great Again hats, which were acceptable attire for the pro-life event they had just attended. A few yards away were 5 black men who identified as Hebrew Israelites. This known hate group was already preaching racial slurs at indigenous marchers.
You're not supposed to worship eagles, buffaloes.
That's right,
rams,
right.
All types of animals.
That's right.
This is the reason why the Lord took away your land. It didn't mean savage. You know where that name came from? You know where that name came from? It came from the so-called white man. Indian means savage, brother.
I don't know where you got that from.
Look it up, brother.
I did look it up. I'm a historian.
You'll find it out for yourself.
This is the problem, Israel. There's always our women thinking they can come and distract things with their loud ass mouth because they not used to dealing with no real men. You nigga, get your old Uncle Tom ass out of here.
That's the McDonald. Damn, Uncle Tomahawk.
That's right.
That's Uncle Tom's. You're Uncle Tomahawk.
That's right.
That's your head up the white man's ass.
Curious, a few of the Covington students moved closer to hear what the Israelites were saying.
When y'all crack ass up here and make a
These are not Israelites.
Tell them come over here in the lion's den. You little dirty ass crackers, your day coming.
Without incident, the boys returned to their group, which was expanding as more students arrived at their meeting spot. The Israelites did not stop.
On the back of your dollar bill, it says, "In God we trust, but you give facts rights." The Bible condemns homosexuality, man.
They're still humans.
This is a bunch of future school shooters.
How you gonna tell somebody you're gonna shoot up a school? That's like really rude. That's racist,
North
bro.
American, when you get old enough, they're gonna steal your organs.
Whoa, hey, why you being mean? Hey, we love you, kid. Hey, we love you.
He said he's a product of sodomy and he's proud.
It's not rape if you enjoy it.
See that?
He does not get a couple.
Bunch of Donald Trump incest children.
The bus is here yet.
Oh,
Where
wow.
are the buses?
Incest children.
After nearly an hour of enduring the verbal attack, the boys asked their chaperone if they could perform one of their pep rally chants to drown out the hate group.
A very appropriate
The
response.
chant attracted the attention of a group of Native Americans led by veteran activist Nathan Phillips. Though Mr. Phillips later claimed he was trying to get to the Lincoln Monument, he bypassed the most direct and unobstructed pathway and went straight to where the Covington boys were standing.
Look at the hats. Look at that Make America Great Again hat.
They began to celebrate by chanting and dancing to the beat. Is it possible that the boys saw the Native Americans as allies, stepping in to help drown out the Israelites?
There was
Quote,
a group of
Israelites.
over 200 young, angry white men, and they were facing down just 4 black individuals. And it was coming to a point where a snap of the finger could have caused them kids to descend on those 4 individuals.
What the hell is going on here? Now this is a peace circle? Ain't gonna be no peace until blood is shed.
Why you being mean?
Get out!
When I went in front of that mob and what appeared to be their prey, all that hate and anger transferred to me. And the images were the same images that I seen on the folks that were doing the lynchings, and the scorns and the scowls that were on the pictures there. That's what these young people's faces looked like. It was...
No.
It was scary.
It was this moment that many feel the boys crossed the line and began mocking the Native Americans by doing a move known to sports fans as the tomahawk chop. Mr. Phillips began moving to his right, down a line of boys, eventually stopping face to face with Nick Samuel. The young man remained where he had already been standing, placing his undivided attention on Mr. Phillips, who never once tried to move beyond him. It's worth noting that Nick Samuel was standing on a higher stair, making his small size appear much larger than he actually is.
We are hearing from a Native American elder and Vietnam War veteran speaking to CNN after a disturbing viral video shows a group of teens harassing and mocking him in the nation's capital. The Native elder was identified as Nathan Phillips, a member of the Omaha Nation and a Vietnam vet. Phillips describes the tense moments now being replayed over and over again online when a young man got right in his face. Watch.
That was when they surrounded us. And that's when I realized the dangerous situation I was in. And I couldn't go left, I couldn't go right, we couldn't go back without running into this mob. When that young man blocked my retreat...
Skip past the lies here, sorry.
Omitted from the mainstream narrative.
Out of my face with that sh**. Hey, it's not, Bush. It's brilliant, man. Come on, it's pretty right.
It appears as though Nick was trying to hush his schoolmates to show more respect to Mr. Phillips. And that was that. Their bus arrived and the students went on their way.
I got it, man.
Mr. Phillips did not advance up the stairs, but instead turned towards his people and celebrated their victory.
We won, Grandpa! We fucking won, Grandpa!
There has been some question about the nature of your military service, and this is
Oh, wait,
a
hold
good
on, this is
chance
good.
to clear it up. Some have said that you were a Vietnam veteran. I don't believe you have said that. What exactly is the nature of your service?
What I've always said is I've never stepped foot in South Vietnam.
I'm a Vietnam vet, served in the Marine Corps 72 to 76. I don't talk much about my Vietnam lives.
When I come home, those times, I got spit on, actually spit on. Called a baby. Little blonde-haired, blue-eyed hippie girl come walking up to me one night and just spit on me. Called me a baby killer. I feel bad because I beat up her boyfriend. I really do feel bad about that.
He was a fridge technician. He was a Marine Corps fridge technician. Like, seriously. Fridge technicians don't fight wars. They fix refrigerators. Moving on, Nancy Pelosi's "fuck you" clap for Donald Trump during his 80-minute speech. Trump appealed to Americans of all ideological stripes to find common ground and embrace compromise, a message that arguably clashes with the president's habit of roasting his political opponents on Twitter. And her response was just this little sarcastic clap. And people say that she was actually like a hero for that, to look up to. If those are your heroes, I wonder who are your villains. Probably honest to goodness people like me, huh? Bet you I'm your villain. Fine, I'll play the part. I'll do everything you say is evil, because I know it's actually good. And you will lose. Bottom line is, she was being a bitch. during a Trump speech that is probably one of the best he's ever given. Yeah, remember, don't forget to sign that petition. Get her impeached. Bye-bye, Nancy. Bye-bye, naughty girl. Moving on, Arthur Robert Furstenberg says that 5G could cause cancer in humans, kill wildlife, and cause the Earth's magnetic field to change. No story too strange for this show, just so you know. And believe me, this is fucking weird. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. It gets stranger from there. Says, he basically says that he has electromagnetic hypersensitivity, which includes symptoms like dizziness, nausea, amnesia, insomnia, tremors, heart arrhythmia, acute and chronic pain, among others, though it is not scientifically or medically recognized. In addition, Furstenberg filed a lawsuit seeking $1.43 million in damages from his neighbor for damaging his health by using her iPhone and Wi-Fi connection. So in other words, what we're dealing with here is a hypochondriac who believes in a fictional illness and thinks that 5G is going to end the world. Wow. Man, you gotta wonder, sometimes, like, I think it really does, just, it takes all kinds, really, it really does. There are some people out there who are very strange. They're either stupid or they're just crazy. Like literally worthy of being placed into a straitjacket. And I say this guy, this Arthur Robert Furstenberg, yeah, straitjacket city, all the way. Get to spend a wonderful evening in the padded party room, and all that good stuff. Don't worry, Mr. Furstenberg, we'll get you away from all those scary electric signals that are hurting you. Good grief. Like I tell you, some people, they're either amazingly stupid or just amazingly crazy. Sometimes both. And now I'm actually going to do a little unlisted story, because this is something I found recently that kind of shocked me. Sexual assault allegations which are false against the voice actor Vic Mignogna. He's a very sensitive, very emotional sort of man. He's very touchy-feely, both physically and not physically. Comes from a very affectionate family, very normal stuff. And apparently he was targeted by someone named Jesse Pridemore, who made claims against Vic Mignogna that she was invited up to his hotel room, roofied, and raped. Which, by the way, his fellow voice actor made a tweet a while back. The tweet was removed, but I saw it in a video capture of, and I'll link you to the video, that basically says straight up, Todd Haberkorn says that it simply did not happen. And she claims that, like, her hair was pulled on, he whispered shit to her, did very, very inappropriate, in a public location, right in the middle of an anime convention, supposedly. Then why wasn't there any photographic evidence? Why were there no videos? Why no witnesses? What happened to them? Did they disappear like Todd Haberkorn's tweet? Or is it that you just wanted to get your 5 minutes of fame and lied and tried to ruin a man's career just so you could be famous for 5 minutes? Which one sounds more realistic to you? I would say it's most likely the latter as opposed to the former. Mr. Mignogna is most likely just innocent, and she used his tendency to be very hands-on when touchy-feely with people as a platform for it to make a false claim that she could sell to people. I'm currently looking at Jesse Pridmore's Facebook post. I'm going to skip to the juicy bits. About 10 years ago, I was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed cosplayer at the height of my cosplay career. Bushy-tailed. Please don't be a furry. I was really well known for being the official character model for several anime companies and worked a lot with voice actors for events. I was also a high-up staffer at a convention I loved. I was also going through a divorce. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean you gotta go try and ruin a man's career. A voice actor that I really admired and thought was cute was flirting with me, used my divorce as an in. Him and another man kept feeding me drinks, despite another voice actor kicking him in the leg to stop. Kept feeding you drinks. Like how does that work? Did they like tip you over and like put the bottle in your mouth and just kept patting the bottom and down and massaging your throat so it would go down or something? You know, essentially feeding you like a baby? was that how it went, or I mean, what? Is that what you're saying? Because that's kind of what it sounds like. Like, you can stop any time. Like, they hand you a beer. It's like, unless they're literally forcing you to drink it, like, whatever. He kept going. He invited me up to his room to see his Japanese candy collection. By the way, those Japanese candies, those are a thing, and they got like really weird flavors. Black licorice is one flavor that's not quite so weird. But anyway, I blacked out. I woke up half off his bed and undressed just from the waist down. I couldn't even see whose room I was in. I gathered my stuff and left horrified. After talking to a couple people, I pieced together what had happened that night. I was too young to understand what consent was in that situation. Right. And thought that he was truly interested in me. I'd give more details that I would give his identity, so I went to the next convention he did. He spent the entire weekend treating me like garbage. When I finally opened up to my ex-husband about what had happened, he told me I was raped. Even then, I didn't want to admit it. Over the years, I found there was more girls that it happened to. Of course. And they're probably all from 10, 15 years ago. What do you want to bet? He started telling people I was obsessed with him and just mad he didn't want to date me. Which is probably true. So the part about Vic, the guy who raped me, told everyone at an anime company I regularly worked with that we had fucked, and that was a con slut. And I was a con slut. He also told Vic, consulate sounds like consulate. Anyway, he also told Vic I played nice with Vic a lot because of my position, blah blah blah. Yeah, this is just another typical leftist SJW fake sympathy story. Get your 15 minutes of fame by ruining someone else's life. Like I said, I'll link you to the video, to a very important video that really makes it clear that this is demonstrably false. Makes it very clear. I'm sorry I couldn't find Todd Habercorn's tweet. It was basically removed from Twitter, like it never even happened. But trust me, there are screen captures of it that exist that I have personally seen. I'll track those down and show them to you as well if I can. But either way, this is just the typical lefty bullshit. As always, it just never ends until we put a stop to it. Anyway, that's it for Culture Shock today, folks. I'm out.